of ISAME Forum on inspirational leadership. Dr. Malu himself has been a great inspiration for all the Lions of ISAME area. Fellow Lions, we are at the concluding part of the 3-day ISAME Forum. What a wonderful convention it was. And I would like to congratulate and thank the host committee chairman, Vijay Kumar Raju, past director of the host multiple district, C. Vara Prasad, the entire host committee of multiple district 316, and certainly our international directors, J.P. Singh, R. Sampath, V.P. Nandkumar, Qazi Akramuddin, and Mia Idris for their vision and leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a very big round of applause to our leaders. Dr. Malu, under your leadership, we are definitely setting a new trend of virtual forums. Fellow Lions, today we heard our second Vice President, Brian Sihan, and Dr. Patty Hill. What a fantastic presentation it was. Brian energized us today about the Leos and the young Lions, and I believe that that is a need for the Lions today. Dr. Patty Hill very well summarized about the service platform of Lions Clubs International. Friends, in our earlier sessions, we were witness to the speeches of our international president, Dr. Choi, LCI chairperson, Gudron, first vice president, Douglas Alexander. Each one of them is an inspirational speaker. We are fortunate to have them as our executive officers. They have instilled optimism and a feeling of pragmatic enthusiasm amongst us. Our leaders have made us feel that we are really needed. Let us give a round of applause to all the international executive officers. Thank you, sir. We are honored and privileged to have you as our leaders. Fellow Lions, let me appreciate your dedication and commitment towards Lionism, which is evident by your participation on a Sunday evening. Give a round of applause to yourself today. You are 100% Lion. And that's why you are attending this session. Each one of you have also been inspired by someone at some stage of your life. And now, you yourself is an inspiration to the Lions around you. To be inspired is great, and to inspire is incredible. Fellow Lions, today we are going to talk about the subject, inspirational leadership. And why inspirational leadership is important. If I have to share with you what Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Group, said once, that a single most important leadership skill, the single most important leadership skill is to inspire somebody. The inspirational leader has an ability to infuse energy, ability to infuse passion, and the ability to infuse commitment and connection. Fellow Lions, to keep members happy in the club meetings or service projects is not good enough. They need inspiration. They need a leader who can ignite passion, commitment, energy, and connection. Therefore, we need inspirational leaders at every level of our organization. You can see, with the right people, anything is possible. So, friends, uh, I too had my people around me who inspired me in my various stages of my life. It will not be out of place to share uh, some of those experiences with you. In my early years, I was inspired by my grandfather. As a kid, he always used to groom us. Two important things he told us was that be truthful in life, be fearless, be environment friendly, and stay away from the abuses. And a 10-year kid getting this kind of an inspiration from his grandfather lingers long throughout the end of the life. My father inspired me to be an ethical businessman and participate and involve in community service. And I think that encouragement, that inspiration from my father is evident that I am so active in Lions Clubs International. Friends, my first inspiration in the Lions was Arun Parikh. He made me the founder president of a Leo club. And why I was inspired by him? Because he was always a presentable person, very careful about his hygiene, appropriately dressed for every occasion, a very smiling face, well-mannered, and having the greatest regards for etiquette, manners, and protocol. We rarely find this kind of a personalities as a role model. And as a Leo, he was my Lions Club president, and this is the way I got impressed and inspired from him. When he became the district governor, he made me his cabinet secretary. And I'll remind you about one of the incidents that what an inspiring leader can do. We were sitting with the host committee of the district convention. Atul Parikh was the club president, Dr. Praveen Kandave was the region chairperson, and Arun Parikh was giving them a checklist of do's and don'ts. And believe me, friends, host committee looked little nervous or tense, and seeing the host committee's reaction on the face, you know what did Arun Parikh say? Friends, don't bother. I have given you to do list. And if on the day of the district conference, I do not find a microphone on the rostrum, I will not ask you a single question why there is no mic. Because I will believe that in the entire city, the microphone was not available. This is how he empowered the delegates. This is how he delegated the delegates. This is how he delegated the work. And this is how he trusted his team member. He was a tremendous source of inspiration for me. I'd like to share one more experience of past district governor, Dr. Bihari Kanayalal. We were attending a meeting in Goa. Site First was a very hotly discussed subject at that time. And the Site First Advisory Committee, technical advisor, Dr. Jatin Shah, was analyzing the various projects. The meeting went on till 2 o'clock in the night. And the next agenda was report on long range planning committee by Dr. Bihari Lal Kanayalal. And the age of Dr. Bihari Lal Kanayalal was 80 years at that time. So I was a district governor sitting there till 2 o'clock. I was getting tired and sleepy. But Dr. Bihari Lal Kanayalal was as agile as he is always. At 2 o'clock, friends, believe me, he presented his report on long range planning committee and took only 2 minutes to present the report, a comprehensive report. When we were coming back from Goa to Ahmedabad in the train, myself, my Vice Governor Harendra Shukla were preparing his bed in the train, and we asked him, sir, what do you want to achieve in Lionism now? Why were you so active at 2 in the night? You are 80 years old. And friends, can you believe what answer he gave to us? Praveen and Harendra, this is a payback time for me to give to Lions Clubs International, because whatever I've gained in my life is because of the Lions Club. A mill owner, 80 years old man, nothing to achieve in the life, what an inspiration we would have got from that. That's commitment, that's dedication. Friends, I can confidently say that I was fortunate, privileged to work with past international president Rohit Mehta for 30 years. These 30 years have been the golden phase of my life. Rohit Mehta not only inspired me, but they inspired hundreds of lions like me, not only in India, but across the world. I can go on sharing his qualities, how he inspired me. But one or two things I will definitely like to share with you, that don't talk ill of anyone. Anybody who has come across with Rohit Mehta would have noticed that he never spoke ill of anyone. When asked, how will you like to be recognized after your death? The editor of the magazine committee was taking his interview, and he said, I will like the people to remember me after my death that Rohit was a reliable person. He believed in highest integrity and ethics. And one more thing, we were planning the 2004 ISAME Forum. I went to him with an agenda. And normally in our part of our country, the first item on the agenda is a prayer. So he said, what is this prayer? I said, sir, we start our functions with a prayer. You know what did he tell me? He is the person who respected the culture and traditions of every citizen in the world. He told me, Praveen, don't do this mistake. This is an international gathering. You have to respect the religion and culture of every line attending. You can do an invocation, but not a prayer. You see, these are the smallest things which we learn from such inspiring leaders, and that makes our life successful. Friends, I can go on telling about Rohit Mehta, because in a way, he was my lion father, whom we lost recently. But I would like to mention one more past international president who had created impact, not only on me, but on the lion leaders of the world across. And he is none other than past international president, Joseph Roblowski. A very humble and a noble person, and for whom the focus has always been the good and welfare of our association, the Lions Clubs International. He breathes our association every hour. He thinks that how our association can grow, and at the age of 89, 90, he's still active, he's still bubbling with enthusiasm to see the bright future of our organization. Friends, even you would have come across so many people in your life, but now it is your turn to become someone's Arun Parikh, someone's Dr. Bihari Kanhaiyalal, Rohit Mehta, or Joe Roblowski. You may be thinking that the personalities I have referred motivated me. Friends, motivation and inspiration seem similar words, but they are totally different. Inspiration comes from within, and motivation pushes you to achieve a goal. So, for example, there is a final of a World Cup cricket, and 50,000 audience is clapping. What is it? It's a motivation for the player. But what is the inspiration for the player? The inspiration is to win the World Cup. That is from within. That inspiration inspires him to do his best, perform the best. So, an inspiration pulls you towards something that stirs your heart, mind, or spirit. Friends, the feeling of purpose and meaning is enough to propel and inspire us. You, I'm talking to you. You can be a leader who can give purpose and meaning to your fellow lions. Will you do that? You are capable, my dear friends, And if you can do that, we can see a sea change in our Lions Association. Friends, I talked to you about our international leaders, about the people who have inspired me. You also have your own examples of people who have inspired you. We talked about the difference between inspiration and motivation and what inspiration means. But let us have a glance or a small look at the world leaders who at that time were an inspiration. Not only they were inspiration in their time, but they are still relevant today. So the first name comes to my mind is Mahatma Gandhi. Let us have a short video of him.
Made one or two speeches which rather frightened the French
In
authorities.
1931, he was going to London.
When asked to speak into the sound-filled microphone, he said, "I think not." And so we go on our way to England. Well, here we are at Folkestone, with the Biarritz coming alongside, and as Gandhi said, in proper English weather, pouring rain and bitterly cold. This Slade was the first ashore to tend to the luggage, that is, the goat's milk, etc. She was followed by Gandhi's son, and then came the little man, still scantily clad, but with an extremely wet blanket around his tiny frame. I'm sure he must have been frozen. We were in thick overcoats. He picked his way through the puddles along the quay side. He was wearing sandals, by the way. The waiting motor car, for he decided that he'd rather go up to London by road. Shortly afterwards, he left by the front way. And then they really did see quite a lot of him, even his knees. No, he won't speak into the microphone. And so to his poplar home, where we leave this...
Friends, this scene is not of India. This was the craze of Mahatma Gandhi in London in 1931. Gandhiji is the greatest of the great leaders, champion of truth and non-violence. He has been inspiration for men and women all over the world. Mahatma Gandhi is still relevant today. The next person I would like to share with you is Martin Luther King, the Jr.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Martin Luther King Jr. is still relevant today. He inculcated outstanding moral qualities such as truth, courage, justice, extreme patience, and belief in non-violence. The third personality I'm going to share with you is Swami Vivekananda, and you will see his speech in Chicago in 1893.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the afternoon session of the opening day today, the 11th of September, 1893. We now introduce you to Swami Vivekananda from India and request him to address us. Swami Vivekananda.
Sisters and brothers of America, It fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. I thank you in the name of the mother of religions. And I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. My thanks also to some of the speakers on this platform who, referring to the delegates from the Orient, have told you that these men from far-off nations may well claim the honor of bearing to different lands the idea of toleration. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth.
Friends, we would like to continue to listen to his speech, but some other day. Swami Vivekananda, aroused the highest capabilities in a man by reminding them of their own divinity that made anything possible. When he spoke in Chicago in the Parliament of World Religion in 1893, we just heard him, the world took notice of his message of universal brotherhood. He always said, believe in yourself and the world will be at your feet. That was a great inspiration we had from Swami Vivekananda. And the next person is a very familiar face, Amitabh Bachchan. He was inspired by his father. So here we'll hear from him how did he got inspiration from his father.
I keep quoting my father all the time, and I'm sure I've done this millions of times. One of the first things he taught me was, Man ka ho to acha, na ho to zyada acha. If things happen according to how you wish, that's good. But if they don't, it's even better. And I could never understand that. And when I asked him, he said, if they're not happening according to your wish, they're happening according to the wish of some divine force. And that divine force will never think ill about you. So you have to respect that as being better. The other thing he told me was, when I was struggling a lot in those times, I said, you know, life is a struggle. And he used to say, so long as there is life, there is going to be struggle. I think if we accept this factor, your life is never going to be easy. Something or the other is going to happen. Rather than sit in some kind of despondency on that, be aware that tomorrow is another challenge, is another day, which could turn out to be profitable, which may not. But eventually there will be another day when you can start trying all over again.
Friends, inspiration is a chain. He was inspired by his father, and today he is inspiring us because he has proved that age is just a number and there is a Superman in every man. An ordinary man like Amitabh Bachchan can become a Superman, and that's the message, that's an inspiration he has given to the youth today. Friends, I'd like to share one more example who has changed the world's communication system, the thought process of the world at a very young age, and we lost him at this very young age, and he's none other than Steve Jobs.
When Steve Jobs was born, his biological parents had no choice but to put the baby up for adoption, and he was soon adopted by his new parents. Steve Jobs was a bright kid, but unfortunately he was bullied at school, so he preferred to spend his time alone. And he was bullied so hard that he wanted to transfer schools or he would never attend school again. And at his new school, he saw his first computer at the age of 12. and he took his first electronic class. Steve Jobs was a very smart boy, but he never liked the school learning process. He loved to learn in unconventional ways, so during his high school years, out of 4 GPA, he averaged a 2.65 GPA, meaning he wasn't a bad student, but certainly he wasn't the best. He was average. After he graduated high school, he went to Reed College, but Steve Jobs dropped out in the first 6 months. Even though he dropped out, he was unofficially attending classes that interest him, such as calligraphy. At that time, he struggled to survive. He didn't have a place to stay, so he slept on the floor of his friend's room and returned bottles for 5-cent deposit to buy food. It was one of the hardest periods of his life. He also spent some time backpacking around India, and that trip was one of the most enlightening experiences of his life. He dived into a spiritual quest of discovering his higher self and practicing meditation, and these powerful experiences helped him create one of the most iconic brands of all time. So Steve Jobs and his friend Steve Wozniak founded Apple from his parents' garage. In 10 years, Apple had grown from just 2 people in a garage into a $2 billion company. In 1984, Apple released their first Macintosh computer, but the sales were disappointing. So in 1985, Jobs was pushed out of his own company. At 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. He was disappointed, but despite everything, he later recognized this experience as a blessing in disguise. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. Less sure about everything, it freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. He even founded a new company. After Steve Jobs left Apple, the company found little success and continued to struggle. And with the success of Microsoft, Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy. But in 1997, Steve Jobs, with his creative ideas, rejoined Apple and saved the company. And the rest is history. Apple became the first trillion-dollar company. Unfortunately, Steve Jobs passed away in 2011, but left behind a legacy and inspiring words and wisdom. His success story is amazing. He was an average student, failed many times in his career, was rejected, fired, disappointed, but he became one of the greatest visionaries of the 21st century.
Today, Steve Jobs is the greatest inspiration to the youths of today. He said that 2 things which are required for a successful organization, or an association, or a Lions Club is passion and people. Passion and people, these 2 things can make any organization successful. Fellow Lions, in this part of the world, we are very familiar with cricket. You would have seen that in West Indies, a bouncer on Anil Kumble's head, his jaw was fractured. Nobody would have come back to play the cricket. India needed that. And the next day, with a fractured jaw, he did the bowling and took the wicket of Brian Lara. Let us see Anil Kumble.
This was the Kumble blow. That hit straight onto his jaw. That hit nothing but the jaw. Perhaps just brushed the face guard on the way through. But he went for his second X-ray, and apparently the second X-ray now is...
This is quite unbelievable.
This is the next
Kumble,
day.
flying back to India the following day for surgery on his fractured jaw, showed enormous bravery by taking the field to bowl at Lara. All talk of the wisdom of such a move was put to bed by a semi-mummified Kumble delivery.
That's a big shout. Is he out? Yes, he's out. Right in front of the stumps.
Story of Kumble is an epitome of discipline, determination, and commitment. These pictures have gone in the library archives of some successful and motivational cricketers. Finally, I'd like to share a video of Princess Diana.
This was a complete
Not because she was a Princess Diana, but her one act changed the perception of AIDS. Let us have a look at the video.
The Broderick ward of the Middlesex Hospital is the only specially designed AIDS ward in Britain. Today, the hospital reckoned that the princess's visit was worth all the government propaganda put together. She met the staff and the 9 patients and shook hands with them all. But for the duration of the visit, the patients moved from their usual beds to side rooms because they refused to be filmed or interviewed. Only this patient agreed to a still photograph with the princess, and then only with his back to the camera. But a male nurse on the ward, Shane Snape, who is 28 and is himself HIV infected, spoke out to her about the myths surrounding AIDS.
Well, I think the princess actually helped get that message across by the mere fact that she wasn't wearing gloves and the mere fact that she shook hands with the patients and myself.
Has that made you feel better about the whole thing, then?
But certainly in the respect that the lead up to Princess Diana coming was, will she or won't she wear gloves? And she didn't. I mean, I believe she wouldn't, and she's lived up to what I believe. She knew the facts. I don't routinely tell all the
Leadership through compassion. Princess Diana shaking the hands of an AIDS patient without the gloves changed the people's perception of the AIDS disease forever. One small act, what a big change. Friends, we cannot become Mahatma Gandhi. We cannot become Swami Vivekanand, nor Anil Kumble, or Princess Diana, or Amitabh Bachchan. But at least each one of you who are listening to me today can be an inspiration to 100 line in and around you. Today, our association is facing 3 major challenges. We need member engagement, impactful service activity, and inspiring leadership at the club level. We have tremendous leadership, good inspirational leaders at the top in our Lions hierarchy. We have inspirational leaders at the national level across the globe to inspire the community. But as I told you, we need inspiring leaders at the club level. Our association is having many leadership institutes, faculty development, advanced leadership, emerging leadership. But most of these institutes are for the line members who have completed their presidentship. It's a time for us to catch them young. We need inspiring leaders at a club level, because a member meets or sees a club president Delhi. He will see the district governor once in a year, region chairman twice a year. So friends, who can inspire the 100 members of the club, 50 members of the club, 20 members of the club? He looks upon his inspiration, and that's the club president. And that's the vacuum in our association. But friends, today I'm very happy to present before you some inspiring club presidents who have never attended any leadership institutes, and they found inspiration in and around them. So I would like to invite Mukesh Chaudhary, Prakash Patel, and Kunal Shah. Please. Welcome, Mukesh. Friends, Mukesh, he was elected to serve as a club president, and immediately, even before taking the charge as a club president, he went to Chicago to attend the international convention. And since then, he went to Las Vegas, Milan, all the area forums, and he prepared himself with that zeal and passion to go beneath and every aspect of Lionism. He is a very successful businessman. He was originally involved in more than a dozen organizations, but having been active in Lions, he decided that now my time, money and energy will be focused only on one thing, and that is Lions Club. At Las Vegas, he was inspired when he saw 100 people coming forward as a lead donor. He came to me and asked, what is this? I said, they are pledging $100,000 for LCF Campaign 100. And he was so humble in asking me, can I do that? It was a shock to me and Naresh Agarwal at that time. We met Rebecca. He immediately filed a pledge form. And at Las Vegas, he pledged $100,000. Friends, I can go on saying he walks 10 kilometers daily, inspiring people like me that I should walk. But believe me, Lions Club of Karnavati, at its 35 years, which was just entering a stagnation phase, we needed youth to come up. Mukesh proved to be an inspiration. And that is the reason why Prakash Patel accepted the presidency of the club. We had a problem earlier years. We had to request the people to take the presidency. But when we said, Prakash, will you be the president? He said, oh yes, why not? I've seen Mukesh working so fast. I'm highly inspired by Mukesh and I will go. And do you know, he is a biker, traveled from Ahmedabad to London on bike. Even his wife is a biker, his daughter is a biker. And why people get inspired from them? Because they bring in some innovative, some creative activity at the club level. They are well dressed, you see, soft spoken, well mannered, good etiquette. But that is not good enough. People get inspiration from some creative and innovative leaders. He introduced the concept of Lions Business Network in the club, a pilot project in our district. And believe me, friends, the members who were not active at the club level, all of a sudden, the young members, 40 members started the LBN. The members of Lions Club of Karnavati were encouraged by Prakash. And what was the next step?
Immediately, please.
The LBN was successful. And
please wind up now. Time is up.
5 minutes. It was successful. And 100 members again joined the club. So that was Prakash Patel, Mahesh, Kunal. Now when Kunal is the same person who denied to become a club president earlier, but when he saw Mukesh and Prakash, he immediately said yes, he accepted. Now Kunal has brought in another new concept of Karnavati Premier League, Lions Young Turks, Karnavati Music Lovers, club within a club. Due to the shortage of time, I cannot go into the details of this program. But again, because of his leadership, he's a current president and he has inspired another 100 members who have become active. And this year, he has enrolled more than 50 new members. Friends, give a very big round of applause to these presidents. And I can only say that these are no big names, but still inspiring the club members around them. The feeling of purpose and meaning was enough for them to propel and inspire. To be inspired is great, as I earlier said, and to inspire is incredible. We need inspirational leaders who can inspire. We need inspirational leaders who can inspire and create inspirational leaders. And the chain should continue. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure for me to talk to you. I thank you for your patient hearing, and I'm sure the work we have started today to create and identify inspirational leaders has started. God bless you.
Thank you very much, EIT Praveen Bhai, for all those inspirational examples. Friends, forum has been a great success as we crossed registrations more than 3,000 across the globe. For the detailed report of registration, I request Multiple Council Chairperson and Organizing Secretary, Dr.